Alright, so in this video, we are going to work with beams and beam system. So we're going to complete the first floor framing, and then we're going to add sloped framing at the second floor roof. And also we're going to model a sloped canopy structure at the exterior of the building, somewhere here. Okay, so the first thing that we will be doing, we're going to add beams to the structural base. So to do that, I'll go to the insert tab. I'm just going to load first the tag that I will be using for my beam system. So I go to the insert and then I'll be using load Autodesk family. So it will allows me to load an Autodesk family from the cloud. And then after that, I'll select here annotations and then look for structural. And then I'll be selecting here structural beam system tag. So let's check that one, and then after that, load. Alright, so it's now loaded in the project. So now I'll go to the structure. I'll select here the beam. I'll select beam system. Click that one. So make sure that automatic beam system is selected. So by default, it's already selected. And then tag on placement. So I want to automate the tag as I place the beam system, so I'm going to toggle it on. Alright, and then from the properties, I want this to be fixed number. So fixed number, and then number of lines, three lines. Okay, and then for the beam type, let's see the beam type here. So I'll just use this one, W310 by 38.7. Okay, and we are now ready to go. So I'm going to place my beam here. So as you can see, as I put my pointer on the vertical beam here, it shows 3 vertical lines. So if I put here, it shows 3 horizontal lines, right? So I want to place it oriented like this. So I'm going to pick this, and there you go. So you see there's the tag there. Okay, all right. So I'm going to place another one here. So let's say vertical. So click again. There you go. Okay. So right, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to place it like this. All right. Place it. Click. Click. All right. There you go. And then I select here modify. Okay, so now the next thing that I'll be doing, you see this area here. So I'm going to add skewed framing to a framing bay here. Okay, so again, I'm going to select here the beam system. So this time I'll be using sketch. Okay, sketch beam system. So I'm going to select this. Okay, and then here from the draw panel, I'm going to use this pick supports. Okay, so let's select the pick supports. All right, and then I'm going to pick this. Pick that. You see, that's the direction of my beam. So the first element that you will be selecting, that will gonna be the direction of your beam. So I'm gonna select this one, and I want this one as well, and then this one here. Okay. Right, so I don't want this. So we need to trim that. So I'm going to select trim extend to corner. So I'm going to pick this. Okay, so make sure it's clean corner. No intersection, no overlapping, and it should be close. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to select here the beam direction. I want to specify the beam direction. So I'm going to select this. Okay, and then after that, using the line tool, I'll be selecting here to here. There you go. Okay, and then what else? So fixed number of lines 3, that's fine. So I'll just finish it. Finish. There you go. Okay. And then I'll just select here modify. So in 3D view, this is how it looks like. Okay, so there's my beam system, and then there's my another beam skewed framing onto a framing bay. All right. So next, I'm going to select this wall here. So as you can see from the properties here, from the instance property, there is a top offset here of 900 millimeters, right? So what I want to do is I want to make this 0, and then what will happen, this top part of that wall will go down 0, okay? Because right now there's a 900 offset. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to make that 0, and then I'll just apply. And there you go. So it's now on second floor level without an offset of 900. So it's just 0. Okay, so what I want is I want to add here a framing, slope framing on my roof. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to open my second floor. Open up the second floor. I'll just zoom in here. And then after that, I'm going to select again the beam system. And then from the type here, I'll change this to 460 by 52. I'll try this one. Okay, and then here, non-planar. So I need to check this one because I'm going to put my beam system non-planar. Okay, so I'm going to check that. And then here, the layout rule. So instead of fixed number, I'm going to change that to maximum spacing. Maximum spacing of, so you need to specify a distance. Maximum spacing of 1,800. Okay? Right? And then make sure that walls define slope is checked. Okay? So once you're finished setting up, so I'm now going to hover my pointer, and then I want the orientation to be like this. Okay? So I'm going to pick here, and there you go. And then modify. So if I go to the section, so there's a section here, you can now see that the beams in the beam system here have different slopes because of the walls on which they are based. See? So if I check that in the 3D view, so this is now how it looks like. There you go. Okay, so now the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to do some modeling here. So I'm going to model the sloped canopy structure. So I'm going to open my first floor. Okay, and then I'm just going to zoom into this part here. All right. Okay, so I'm going to activate my beam tool. All right, and then I'm gonna change this to 310 by 38.7. So let me click this. And then I'll just move my pointer to this grid here. And then as you can see, there's a temporary dimension, right? Okay, so I'm going to move my pointer to the left. And then I'm gonna type the distance 1,800. And then enter. There you go. And then I'm going to click here. All right. And then I select here modify. So I'll just change the scale here. Let's say 1:50 because my tag here is too big, so I'll just change the scale. There you go. Okay, so now if you're going to select the beam, you can actually change the distance here. Okay, the start and end level offset. Okay, so you can change that one. So if you click this, you see, you can change. So let's say I want that to move down minus 300. So I'm gonna type minus 300, enter. Okay, so if you look that on the 3D view, so this is how it looks like, that one. See, so minus 300. So if I do that here as well in 3D, so I click this, minus 300, enter. So you can do that one too, aside from moving it. All right, so if I click this, you see minus 300, minus 300. So now I'm going to select the beam tool again to continue my modeling. So I select the beam tool. And then here on the positioning, I'm just going to make sure that the 3D snapping is checked. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 additional beam. So using the line tool, and let's see, same type. Okay, so same type. So I'm going to draw 3D snapping. Okay, so I'm going to pick here to here. Okay, and then pick here to here. All right, and then select modify. So in 3D view, this is how it looks like. Okay, you see it's also angled, right? So it follows the end and start level offset. Okay, now I'm going to add infill beams to our canopy structure. Okay, so let me just go back again to my 3D view. Let me close the other views here and then use windows, tile views. Okay, so I can also see the 3D model. Alright, so add infill beams to the canopy structure. So we are going to use the beam system again. So I select the beam system, and then after that, the type that I'll be using here, let's see. Okay, so maybe I'll just use 310 by 38.7. So I select that one, and then I only want to have here a fixed number of 3. Okay, so fixed number of 3. And then again, non-planar here is check. All right, and I'm gonna use sketch. Okay, so let me use sketch beam system here because by default automatic beam system is selected. So I'm going to sketch. So I select sketch beam system, and then I'll be using here pick supports. So let's click that one, and then I'm going to pick this framing, click that, hold control, and then you can click this one too. Okay, and then after that I'm going to click this one as well. Okay, and then I'm going to use line tool here. Let's click the line tool. So I'm going to pick here to here. Okay, so again, make sure it's close, no intersection, no overlapping. All right, and then I select here modify. Okay, so there you go. And then I'll just need to finish the beam system, and there you go. Okay, and then we are now going to continue the modeling. So we're going to complete the slope canopy structure. Okay, so I'm going to select the beam tool, and then for the type, I'll use a circular one here, tube, structural tubing. So I select this. Okay, and then after that, using the line tool, I'm going to move my pointer here. As you can see, there's a temporary dimension. So once I see that temporary dimension, I'm going to type the distance. So let's say 812, for example. Enter. There you go. And then after that, I'm going to pick here. There you go. That one. And then after that, I'll select here modify. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this. So I select that and then copy. And then the distance will gonna be, I'm going to pick first the base point and then move my pointer down. Okay, the distance is 1625. Enter. There you go. And then again, I'm going to move my pointer below. Type again 1625. Enter. And then move again below 1625. Enter. There you go. And then after that, I select here modify. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to adjust my tubing here. So I'm going to select the tubing here in the 3D view. Click, hold control, click, click, click. And then let's change the end level offset. So instead of 0, I want to make that 2,500. Okay, and then apply. There you go. All right. All Alright, so that's it for this exercise. So hopefully you learned something from this video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.